Chapter 61. Let me take another look. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 61. Let me take another look. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios asleep. Soon, Pei Yutong sent several messages. This car isn't going to kindergarten. Replied, Big Brother, I realize my mistake. This car isn't going to kindergarten. Typed, Big Brother, please forgive me. This car isn't going to kindergarten. Typed, Big Brother, I merely wanted to take sister.in-law for a spin to unwind. Our speed would be less than 30 kilometers per hour. This car isn't going to kindergarten. Went on to type, Big Brother, I wish both you and sister.in-law a blissful, happy life together until a ripe old age, and I hope that the two of you will have plenty of children soon. Big Brother, in my heart, you and my sister.in-law are a perfect match made in heaven. You are soulmates. I will never be against the idea of you getting together with sister.in-law. From now on, she is my sister.in-law. This car isn't going to kindergarten. Typed, Big Brother, I shall not disturb the two of you. Please go ahead. And go back to sleep. Pei Yucheng ignored Pei Yutong as his gaze fell on Lin Yan's account name and profile picture. It was Pei Nanshu's photo. Her account name included Pei Nanshu's name as well. If Lin Yan had been conscious right now, she would have been terrified by the gloomy, menacing expression on her own face. When Lin Yan woke up once more, she abruptly found herself in an unfamiliar yet also strangely familiar place again. Wasn't this Pei Yucheng's mansion? She remembered coming here previously. She had been in her own apartment a minute ago, yet now she was here. Where is this place? This place looks so familiar. Damn it. Isn't this President Pei's house? Hey, you've gone overboard. Why do you keep clinging on to him? Can't you pick someone else? This time, Lin Yan was truly spooked. This was the third time this happened. Something was definitely wrong with her. Lin Yan messed up her hair and blurted out in an aggressive manner, I don't care what you are. I've already figured everything out. Those immoral, despicable men are all good-looking, and those heartless jerks are all handsome and charming. The more good-looking something is, the more poisonous it is. No matter how independent or strong or capable you are dead once you become obsessed with appearances. I advise you to turn back while it's still early. Why don't we cooperate happily and earn money together instead? The abyss of worldly suffering has no end, and this world is an illusion. Turn around while you still have time. While Lin Yan was nagging incessantly in an effort to brainwash herself, her eyes swept past the door and fell on the couch in the middle of the living room. There were French windows behind the couch, and the huge swimming pool was glittering like jewels in the sunlight. Pei Yucheng's eyes were shut as he rested on the couch. The man seemed to have just returned from the pool, as he was wearing a loose bathrobe that revealed his chest and abs. The mottled sunlight shone on him, making him look like he was fast asleep at the bottom of the ocean. At that moment, Lin Yan felt that everything in life was as transient as a fleeting cloud. The human world was. Lin Yan's expression froze abruptly before she muttered, Wait. Forget it, don't go back now. Let me take another look. Lin Yan was exasperated. She almost crumbled when she realized what she had just said. You can't blame me. Who could resist that man? Lin Yan retracted her gaze and decided to flee before Pei Yucheng woke up. She dashed to the main entrance and turned the doorknob. However, it wouldn't open. Lin Yan had no choice but to look for alternative escape routes through a back door. Hence, Lin Yan treaded carefully back. The garden door was behind Pei Yucheng. Lin Yan moved stealthily as she walked in that direction. While she was walking past Pei Yucheng, who was lying on the couch, she accidentally tripped over something. Unfortunately, she had to fall on Pei Yucheng's body of all places. Chapter 62. Good afternoon, Miss Lin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 62. Good afternoon, Miss Lin. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios F***CK. Why? Why was she always the one getting hurt? Lin Yan's sorrow was like a river turning against the current. She used all her determination to resist the temptation and scrambled hastily to get back on her feet. At the moment, she only had one thought. She had to flee before Pei Yucheng woke up. Lin Yan straightened her back and got ready to sprint. However, a second later, a hand tightened its grip around her waist in a forceful manner. She fell and collapsed once more. Lin Yan's head hit the man's chest, and the top of her head hit the man's chin. Her body turned stiff immediately. She could feel a soft, light sensation on her forehead. The kiss was as light as a feather as it brushed against her forehead. The man's deep, manly voice sounded seductive in her ears. Good afternoon, Miss Lin. Lin Yan's brain exploded like fireworks with a terrific bang. Perhaps she had been a racer for far too long. She had always been surrounded by men, machines and engines. She had grown numb to men as time went by and merely treated them as brothers. She had never treated Wang Jingyang as a man either. Even Pei Nanxiu was just a celebrity she revered and idolized. Han Yishuan had frequently complained that she wasn't feminine enough and didn't know anything about romance. All these years, she had met all kinds of good-looking men. However, this was the first time a man made her heart, which was as hard as steel, race like an 18-year-old young girl's. The man looked sleepy and relaxed, and his eyes reflected her blushing face. Lin Yan felt as though a crack had appeared in her brain, revealing a strange, wonderful illusion. This man's smell. Why was it so familiar? It felt really familiar. As though she had known this man for a really long time. Lin Yan entered a daze for quite some time before she realized that she was still leaning on the man's body. Pei Yucheng stayed in this position patiently as he supported her waist gently to prevent her from falling. His hands, which were on her waist, were stroking her as though he was comforting a frightened little bunny. He gently caressed her. Lin Yan felt as though he was holding on to her softest, weakest part. However, she was perfectly willing. She had chosen to rely on him entirely. Lin Yan jerked her head violently in a bid to wake herself up. She twisted her body with force and slipped and fell to the floor. Then, she brushed off her bum and scrambled to her feet swiftly. She immediately knelt down on the couch to seek his forgiveness. President Pei, sorry. I'm sorry. What excuse should she come up with today? Lin Yan's mind whirred rapidly. Actually, this happened because. It's because. Oh yeah. Because of Pei Yutong. He asked me to look for him. He said that he was here and gave me the password to enter. Lin Yan began to pick up momentum as she spun the lie. In the end. I accidentally tripped and I fell on you. I am sorry for disrupting your rest. Pei Yucheng sat up slowly, looking rather impressed. You've improved. Lin Yan blinked. Ha. I've improved. Your explanation was well constructed and logical this time, Pei Yucheng remarked. Lin Yan was speechless. Indeed, he still didn't believe her. He didn't believe the truth or the lie. She was in a predicament. Chapter 63. There is a way to avoid compensation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 63. There is a way to avoid compensation. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. If she wanted to stay alive and not be thrown into prison, she would have to create a persona who was deeply in love with him. Lin Yan continued to stay calm as she said, I'm telling the truth. I looked for Pei Yutong because I wanted to find out more about you from him. I didn't mean to offend. As Lin Yan spoke, her eyes landed on the man's naked chest. She couldn't stop herself from stammering. Off. Offend. You. Pei Yucheng wrapped the bathrobe around him considerately and said patiently, continue. Lin Yan finally managed to compose herself as she said, President Pei, I'm extremely sorry for any psychological harm I have caused you. But I'm really poor. I don't have any money. Pei Yucheng replied, so, Lin Yan suggested, how about? I kneel down and kowtow to seek your forgiveness. Pei Yucheng chuckled softly. I don't need such compensation. Lin Yan looked sullen. All right then. I knew that it wouldn't be of any use even if I hit my head against the ground until I bled. However, I don't know how else to seek your forgiveness and compensate you for your losses. Pei Yucheng's eyes gleamed as he watched her quietly. His eyes were like a deep ocean, unfathomable and mysterious. There is another way to avoid compensation. Lin Yan's eyes sparkled immediately as she probed cautiously. Another way. What is it? Pei Yucheng was an unfathomable, mysterious man. Hence, every time she spoke to him, she was on tenterhooks. Pei Yucheng didn't reply. He paused for a while before he said, Can I ask you a question, Miss Lin? Lin Yan hastily nodded. Of course. Please ask away. Pei Yucheng asked, Miss Lin. Do you like me? Lin Yan was too stumped to form any words. This question. She wanted to sort things out between them, but she couldn't say that she didn't like him. If she did, then her behavior would be deemed perverted and she would be jailed 100 times. What if she said that she liked Pei Yucheng and had tried to get close to him because she wanted to court him? That sounded plausible. Fortunately, the pervert who possessed her hadn't stalked Pei Yucheng to the bathroom. Hence, Lin Yan had to trample on her pride and ego. She prepared herself emotionally before she put on an expression of admiration and deep love. Certainly. Like I said before, I've fallen for you, President Pei, ever since I first saw you. Those who say that the stars are beautiful have never seen your eyes. Those who say that the spring breeze is warm have never seen your smile. Those who say that candy is sweet must have never heard your voice. If I didn't see you for a day, my blood sugar level would decrease. Worried that she didn't sound sincere enough, Lin Yan added, If I could date you, I would die without any regrets. Pei Yucheng's smile widened like a series of undulating ripples. Your speech has touched me greatly, Miss Lin. Lin Yan blinked her eyes as she watched him. She thought of a popular saying that was circulating online. People were extremely touched right before they rejected someone. Just as Lin Yan's imagination started running wild, she heard Pei Yucheng's deep, masculine voice that sounded like a cello. If that's the case, I can date you, Miss Lin. Lin Yan was speechless. When the man finished his sentence, Lin Yan raised her head, astounded and shocked. Her face was ashen. She had never imagined that Pei Yucheng would agree. So that was what it felt like to be hit by a thunderbolt. Damn it. She had played with fire. Chapter 64. I'm really overjoyed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 64. I'm really overjoyed. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. How could he simply agree so readily? Shouldn't he have rejected her instead? Shouldn't rejection have followed, just like that popular saying dictated? Mister, why didn't you follow the script accordingly? Cough, cough, cough. Lin Yan, who was frightened out of her wits, coughed non-stop. President. President Pei. Did I mishear? You want to date me? Pei Yucheng extended his hand when he noticed her coughing fit. He gently patted her back. You heard me correctly. Lin Yan's brain exploded and she lost all ability to think. As the man inched closer to her, her mind was a frenzied mess. Lin Yan unconsciously tried to dodge Pei Yucheng, but her newly created persona wouldn't allow her to. Her desire to survive had left her body stiff as she kept kneeling on the couch. The main culprit was still grinning at her, looking relaxed and composed. "Miss Lin, what's wrong?" Lin Yan gaped at Pei Yucheng in silence. Unconsciously, she blurted out, "President Pei, do you have bad eyesight?" Pei Yucheng was speechless. Lin Yan hurriedly gave him some advice. "Ahem, what I'm trying to say is that men nowadays have to protect themselves. Girls are getting dangerous these days, so I think that you need to think this through thoroughly." It had never crossed her mind that Pei Yucheng would be so innocent and pure when it came to relationships. Anybody could succeed in wooing him. Pei Yucheng's hands, which were still patting her back gently, froze for a moment. It seemed as though he was mulling over this matter. "Indeed," he quipped. Lin Yan replied, "Yes, indeed. So shouldn't you consider this carefully?" Pei Yucheng glanced at the girl. "Miss Lin, are you trying to hint that marriage would be a wiser option?" Lin Yan was speechless. Why did he have such a scary mindset? Lin Yan nearly shook off her head. No, no, no. I didn't mean it that way. I have no intention of marrying you whatsoever. No, I mean, I don't intend to get married. Lin Yan spluttered incoherently as she explained, trying hard to paint a bad image of herself. However, when Pei Yucheng heard her, his expression remained stoic. His eyes, which were like inky night skies, gleamed behind his lenses. "Marriage isn't mandatory," interjected Pei Yucheng. Lin Yan was dumbstruck. This was possible. But in hindsight, she could understand. Pei Yucheng probably viewed her as an interesting novelty. That was why he had agreed to date her for a short period. How could he be thinking of marriage? Perhaps she had made a fuss over nothing. All these wealthy men changed girlfriends every other day. This was perfectly normal. At this thought, Lin Yan heaved a sigh of relief. However, soon, she began to lament once more. Why? Why had things progressed to this stage? She had merely tried to butter him up. How had she gotten herself embroiled? "Miss Lin, what do you think?" Pei Yucheng glanced at her, waiting for her response. Lin Yan was speechless. Her response. What else could she think of? She was the shameless person who had stalked him to the hospital and his house. Then, she had professed her love for him. Could she still reject him? And say what? That she didn't want to date him and was merely a perverted stalker. At the moment, Lin Yan felt as if her heart was raging like a pan on fire. What I think is. I'm really overjoyed. Chapter 65. Stay calm, don't shatter the persona. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 65. Stay calm, don't shatter the persona. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios' Lin Yan had used all her acting skills to portray how happy she was. She could only console herself by thinking that at least she wouldn't have to die today. Can I make a tiny request? Because of my job, our relationship may have to be kept a secret from others. Lin Yan composed herself and regained a small part of her rationality. She brought up the most important point first. Your job and life won't be affected at all. I wouldn't interfere with your affairs, Pei Yucheng promised. Anything else? Lin Yan felt guilty when Pei Yucheng spoke so considerately. There is nothing else. As of now. This boyfriend had appeared out of nowhere. Like a tornado. Her next goal in life, other than earning money, would be to break up with Pei Yucheng. She had been losing control of her body lately, so she might attempt something atrocious at any time. What if she went to look for other men? How was this dating thing going to? She was obviously putting herself through an ordeal to stay alive. Besides, she didn't want to be in a relationship at all. After what had happened with Hanixuan, she had realized that dating didn't suit her at all. She was already mentally prepared that she wouldn't enter a relationship for the rest of her life. Plus, dating cost a lot of money. To be honest, she knew that she wasn't very likable as a girl. She'd had enough of hiding her claws and pandering to others. Unlike Lin Shuya, she wasn't fashionable or well-dressed. Lin Shuya had always been a lovable, pleasant and frail-looking girl in other people's eyes. Lin Yen couldn't act like an innocent, gentle girl that was waiting for a man to show her the world. Lin Shuya had a horde of fans, including both males and females. Everyone complimented Lin Shuya for being innocent and lovely and left comments online. They said that their mother's heart had melted, wondered how such a lovely and beautiful girl could exist in this world, expressed their wish to protect Shuya for the rest of their life, and so on. All the hard work and effort she had made couldn't be compared to a drop of Lin Shuya's tears or her sweet words. Thus, at the thought of this, she realized that it should be easy to break up with Pei Yucheng, right? She should be able to extricate herself within the next few days. She might not need to do anything at all. Lin Yan's mood improved marginally at this thought. Just as Lin Yan's thoughts wandered away, Pei Yucheng's voice interrupted her. "Miss Lin, did you bring your phone?" Lin Yan snapped back to reality. "Yes, I have my phone." "Why?" Sunlight streamed in from the huge French windows. The man was sitting on the couch, his eyes looking a little warmer as a result. "Nothing much. I just thought that I should know my girlfriend's number." Ahem. Cough, cough, cough. Lin Yen blushed furiously. How could this man melt her heart of steel so easily with just a few words? Even her firm priority to make money had almost been corroded. This was really scary. Lin Yen, who couldn't quite adapt to her new status, looked overwhelmed as she passed him her phone. Pei Yucheng entered his number on her phone and dialed his own number. Thus, the exchange of numbers was completed. Then, Pei Yucheng asked for her WeChat account. Lin Yen agreed readily. However, just as she was about to click on it, something struck her and she froze. She had used Pei Nanshu's name as her WeChat name. She had even used his picture as a profile picture. She had declared and sworn that she liked Pei Yucheng, but all evidence pointed to his younger brother. What if Pei Yucheng saw this? *T, her persona would shatter. Chapter 66. Misty City amid the setting sun. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 66. Misty City amid the setting sun. Translator. Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios. What should she do? Her life was so tragic. Why did she feel like she had been charging past the gates of hell recently? Lin Yen hurriedly interjected, What happened to my phone? It seems like it turned off. Something is wrong. Give me a moment. Suddenly, she noticed the conversation between her and Pei Yutang. *CK. She had even sent an ambiguous message to Pei Yutang when she had lost consciousness. That would lead to a misunderstanding. Asleep. And what was up with the videos? Pei Yutang had sent her several videos, including some that had been taken while Pei Yucheng was clad only in his swimming shorts. The rest of the videos were pretty normal. He had taken videos of Pei Yucheng at work and during daily activities. Every video looked as though it had been taken at a fashion show or on the set of a movie. She could use any photo as a wallpaper as well. Now that Lin Yan's life was hanging by a thread, she couldn't care less. Lin Yan swiftly cropped a picture of the man standing in front of the windows while the setting sun cast a glow on him. She set that as her profile picture. Then, she quickly racked her brains for words and phrases. She changed her original username to Misty City amid the setting sun. Within seconds, Lin Yan completed this whole sequence of actions. Then, she clicked on her QR code and said, It's fine now. You can add me. Pei Yucheng looked as if he hadn't noticed that anything was amiss. He raised his phone and scanned her code. Lin Yan held her breath as she waited for Pei Yucheng's response. Naturally, Pei Yucheng saw Lin Yan's picture and name. He certainly recognized himself in the photo and deciphered the meaning of Misty City amid the setting sun. In a few seconds, she had done so much. He should consider re-evaluating her IQ. The man remained nonchalant, but his lips curled unconsciously. The gloom swirling in his eyes dissipated considerably. Soon, Lin Yan approved Pei Yucheng's friend request and they were both listed in each other's account. Pei Yucheng didn't seem to use WeChat often. He had used his original name, and his profile photo was a JM Corporation logo. After everything was settled, Lin Yan heaved a long sigh of relief. She stole a glance at him as she coughed softly. I didn't have a photo of you. So this was taken by third young master. She resembled a woman who had fallen helplessly in love. After Lin Yan spoke, she couldn't help but admire her performance. It was so believable that she almost believed that she had fallen in love. Staying alive had been hard for her. Chapter 67. What kind of celestial boyfriend was he? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 67. What kind of celestial boyfriend was he? Translator. Atlas Studios editor. AtlasStudios.org. Now that she had changed her WeChat account details and given him her number, she should be able to leave, right? Lin Yan put on a pitiful expression, as though she was a palace maid waiting for the emperor to dismiss her. Pei Yucheng glanced at his watch and said, I have a meeting later. I might not have time for you. Great. Lin Yan's mood blossomed like a sunflower in the sun. Although she was delighted, she continued pretending to look sorry and reluctant that they would have to part ways. She said, Don't worry, it's fine. Work is more important. You don't have to worry about me. I'm also preparing for my new role. In that case, I'll leave first so that I won't disturb you. Pei Yucheng replied, Hold on. Lin Yan was speechless. Hold on. She didn't want to wait anymore. Who knew what would happen if she had to stay here? She had merely said a few sentences, yet they had ended up in a relationship. If they continued conversing, were they going to get a marriage license shortly? Lin Yan was stiff as she remained immobile. The man rose from the couch and bent his back as he stood next to her. His long fingered hands pressed against her thighs. Lin Yan was speechless. When he pressed his palms against her thighs, she couldn't help but shudder, even though there was a layer of fabric between his hand and her thigh. What was going on? Suddenly, the man casually spoke with a hint of a teasing attitude in his voice. Aren't your legs numb? Lin Yan finally realized that, after kneeling for so long, her legs had indeed turned numb. Any slight movement she made caused her pain. She hadn't realized it, yet Pei Yucheng had. As the man spoke, he rolled up his sleeves and propped a knee on the couch. Then, he assumed a half-kneeling position as he gently massaged her legs. Pei Yucheng controlled his strength well, so the numbness soon vanished. Pei Yucheng was someone she could only imagine seeing on TV or in a financial magazine. He was a man dozens of planets away from Pei Nanshu. However, this man had bent his back and knelt in front of her. He was handsome, gorgeous, rich, gentle and considerate. What kind of celestial boyfriend was he? She had a sudden whim to forsake all her fortune for the man before her. Lin Yan hastily shook her head as she was jolted back to her senses. Ahem, I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you. That sudden whim was like an alarm that jolted Lin Yan awake. She hastily bade him goodbye and left swiftly. Now. I'm leaving. After saying that, Lin Yan left the mansion. A while after the girl left, Pei Yucheng walked to his bedroom. He removed his bathrobe and put on a white shirt, casually buttoning a few buttons. Then, he sat down on a chair and lit a cigarette. Wisps of smoke appeared as the man's eyes looked like the depths of the ocean. The man seemed to enter a deep reverie. He was completely motionless. He didn't even realize that his cigarette was burning down to its end. After some time, the man snuffed out the cigarette and opened the first drawer of a cabinet. He took out 2 small red books. The words, "Marriage Certificate," were on the cover of the first book. He gently flipped it open. The man in the photo had a rare, gentle smile on his face, while the girl beside him was smiling with twinkling eyes like a blossoming flower. Chapter 68. Going home for a meal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 68. Going home for a meal. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. After getting home, Lin Yan took a shower and rested for a while. It had been an exhausting, tough day. Then, she lay in bed with her phone to unwind and relax. Shortly, her phone rang suddenly. Lin Yan glanced at the screen and immediately answered the call. "Hello, Mom. Xiaoyan, are you free tonight? Your grandfather asked us to go home for a meal." Lin Yan's mother spoke over the phone. "Grandfather asked us to go back for a meal." Although Lin Yan's expression faltered a little, she still replied, "Okay, sure. I'll head over to your place later." After Lin Yan hung up, she scrambled out of her bed. After her mother and father had divorced, they had been ostracized by her mother's family. This animosity had lasted until recently, when their relationship had improved slightly. Lin Yan certainly knew why. After her father, Lin Yuetong, and her mother, He Muyun, had gotten married, they had relied on her maternal grandfather's support and money before becoming rich themselves. Thus, her grandfather had trusted her father. Gradually, Lin Yuetong had taken off thanks to her grandfather's funding and money and devoured his most profitable entertainment company. As a result, her grandfather's funding and investments had disappeared and his businesses had begun going downhill. Within the next few years, he had gone bankrupt. Now, her grandfather still had a tiny old car fleet under his name. It was something he had insisted on not giving up. The He family had started off from racing and lasted for a few generations. After her grandfather had earned his first pot of gold by racing, he had turned his attention to entertainment and other industries. However, everyone knew that investing in racing was like burning money. After her grandfather's funding was all gone, he'd had to downsize his massive, powerful fleet to the smallest team he could afford. Even the employees who used to work under her grandfather had jumped ship and joined other companies. Now, they could even trample on her grandfather's head. Lin Yan sighed when she thought of all this. Actually, her grandfather had led a tough life. He had insisted on keeping his fleet all these years, so one could only imagine how many hardships he must have endured. Actually, her mother's relatives all treated them with hostility. If Lin Yuetong hadn't betrayed them, they wouldn't have been reduced to this state. Hence, her mother was quite guilty. During the past few years, her grandfather seemed to have let bygones be bygones. He had begun to contact her mother occasionally, yet he had never asked them to go back home for a meal. Lin Yan had been slightly influenced by her grandfather when she had first chosen to enter the professional racing arena. She remembered that her grandfather had numerous books and informational videos on racing. They filled the entire house, and Lin Yan had read quite a few. However, she had kept her career a secret from her mother and grandfather. Originally, Lin Yan had planned to win a championship at a major international competition first before bringing the trophy home to her grandfather. She had hoped that he would then forgive her mother. Alas! She had gotten into a serious car accident during that competition. Thankfully, she had been blessed by the gods and avoided dying on the spot. However, her leg injury had not fully recovered yet. Lin Yan had been later banned from competing and become an infamous persona. Thus, she had even more reasons not to tell her grandfather. Chapter 69. She would make sure her mother led a good life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 69. She would make sure her mother led a good life. Translator. Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios. Lin Yen felt conflicted as she sat in a taxi. After reaching her destination, she carried the things she had bought at the supermarket earlier for her mother. Mom. Lin Yen knocked on the door. Seconds later, the door swung open and a graceful, gentle woman appeared before her. It was evident on the woman's face that time had left its traces on her. Muyun's hands were also wrinkled. However, none of these things could hide the woman's elegance and aura. Why did you buy so many things again? I can't finish them all, they will go to waste. Muyun took the bags from Lin Yen and frowned. Lin Yen was greeted by warm air the moment she stepped in. An ancient-looking fan was blowing noisily. Mom, I didn't spend a lot. Besides, I found a job. Lin Yen glanced at Muyun, looking a little sorrowful. Her mother had insisted on living in the suburbs, in the outskirts of the city. Actually, Lin Yen had earned quite a substantial amount when she had been a racer. However, her mother had always returned the money she had sent to her. Lin Yen had wanted to get her a new house, but her mother had refused to move. She'd said that Lin Yen had worked hard to earn this money and it couldn't have been easy. However, Lin Yen knew that the real reason was that her mother couldn't put the past behind her. She was trying to punish herself this way. Even if you found a job, it's still your hard-earned money. I don't need anything. Besides, I have money myself. If you need money, you must let me know. My paintings are valuable. Muyun eyed Lin Yen as she smiled. Before Lin Yen could respond, Muyun said, Xiaoyan, take a seat first. I need to pack some stuff before we leave. Okay. Lin Yen nodded obediently. As she sat on the couch, her eyes studied the surroundings. There were many paintings in good condition on the walls, and hardly any dust could be seen. All these paintings were her mother's prized possessions. Her mother could write and draw really well. She excelled in drawing and painting, and her art pieces were all life-like. Although her mother claimed that she could sell her paintings and that she had enough money, Lin Yen knew that she had never sold any paintings. She saw waste paper and bottles of mineral water and cans near the couch. Lin Yan's eyes were stinging as she stole a glance at her mother, feeling upset and aggrieved. Her mother's health had been deteriorating during the past few years, so she couldn't hold a job. Wang Jingyang had told her before that he had seen her mother picking trash to sell. Mom, I rented an apartment. Come stay with me. This place is inconveniently far away, Lin Yen told Muyun. Muyun smiled and shook her head. Your apartment is so tiny. It can only fit you. It's spacious enough for the both of us, said Lin Yen anxiously. This place is good and quiet. Plus, I'm already used to it. Just come back to visit me often. Muyun spoke without looking at her. Lin Yen knew her mother too well. No one would be able to change her mind. Lin Yen also knew that the real reason her mother refused to move was because she didn't want to trouble her daughter. She knew that her mother had been a young mistress from a wealthy family who had led a carefree and privileged life. However, she had been reduced to this state now. Lin Yen solemnly swore to herself that she would make sure her mother led a good life. No matter what happened, she would make sure of this. Chapter 70. Do you understand? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 70. Do you understand? Translator. Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios, Xiaoyan, let's go. We can't be late. You know that your grandfather doesn't like latecomers, Muyun told Lin Yen after she was done. Lin Yen nodded when she heard Muyun and stood up. She put her arm around her mother's arm and strode to the door. Her mother's place was situated in the outskirts of the city, so they had to commute for almost an hour before they finally reached their destination. Lin Yen was caught in a flurry of memories when she saw the house. Her childhood was tightly linked to this house. She had made so many fond memories here. Lin Yen still remembered that there had been an old racing car here when she was a child. It had been her grandfather's favorite, most valuable possession. When he had gone bankrupt, he had unfortunately been forced to sell it away. Soon, Lin Yen and her mother walked towards the living room. "Aunt, you're here." A young boy who was about 20 years old looked at He Muyun. "Xiaofeng." He Muyun smiled at him. The shy-looking boy was He Lufeng, the only son of Lin Yan's second uncle. Her grandfather had 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter. Lin Yan's mother was the 3rd child. Lin Yan's youngest uncle had passed away 2 years ago. She had been the closest to him, as he had taught her most of her racing techniques. When she had gotten back from abroad, Lin Yan had stayed at her youngest uncle's place. She would never have tolerated Wang Xiaohui and her daughter's bullying if it hadn't been for her uncle. Soon, a middle-aged man strolled out of a room. His eyes swept past Lin Yan and He Muyun in silence. "Big brother." He Muyun greeted him carefully as she glanced at the middle-aged man. He was He Xiong, Lin Yan's oldest uncle. As a result of Lin Yuedong's betrayal, he had treated Lin Yan and her mother as enemies. He would mock and ridicule He Muyun every time they met. He Muyun had silently accepted all of it and never once retorted out of guilt. "Where is grandfather?" Lin Yan asked as she glanced at He Lufeng. "Sister, grandfather is inside the room. He's talking to my dad about the fleet." He Lufeng sighed before he answered. "Xiaofeng, what's wrong?" Lin Yan, who noticed He Lufeng's expression, asked. It's a little." He Lufeng looked solemn as he nodded. "Sister Yan, recently, things have not been looking good. Our car fleet currently ranks last. If we don't win the next competition, we might have to dissolve it." Lin Yan fell deep in thought. A proper car fleet would have a system that tended to be complex and rigid. However, they would still prioritize capability. The competition was fierce, so it was normal to see weaker fleets getting dissolved. Often, a single competition could decide the survival of an entire team. As Lin Yan was quietly analyzing the situation, her oldest uncle He Xiong shot an irritated glare at He Lufeng. "Xiaofeng, why are you telling them this? What do they know?" He Lufeng awkwardly scratched his head after being berated and clammed up. "Big brother, Xiaoyan is just showing her concern. She doesn't have any ulterior motives." He Muyun hurriedly explained. "Concern?" He Xiong sneered coldly. "Who are you to show concern? If it wasn't for your family, would our family have been reduced to such a state? Now, even father's treasured car fleet is getting dissolved. Both of you are jinxes. How dare you ask about it? What could you do even if we told you? Do you even understand? Would you be able to help?"